name is Rachel, and I'm a music therapy major here at Radford University, and I studied the biometric effects of playing marimba on balance and movement. And this was an objectivist case study. An objectivist case study is an intensive examination of an individual with the use of quasi-experimental research designed to determine the effects of an independent variable on one or more dependent variables. Basically, what that means is I took one person, being me, and put me in a room and collected a whole bunch of data on just my experience. I chose this because I wanted to learn what health looks. I'm a relatively healthy individual, and I've been playing percussion for about 10 years, and I have what I would consider fairly good technique. And I also wanted to establish baselines for future trials in the use of in the clinic. So there's three pieces of equipment I'm going to be talking a lot about in this presentation. The first is a marimba. A marimba is an 8-foot long rosewood instrument that you typically strike with 2 to 4 mallets. Electromyographies are these small electrical devices that go on any piece of skin where it measures the electrical stimulation of that muscle during an activity. And force plates measure how much force I was putting onto the ground and in which directions I was putting that force while I was playing. So there are two standard grips that are used in classical percussion today, though there are many more. The one on the left is called Stevens grip, and that is more typical of United States percussionists, though it's not the one I play. You place one mallet on the meaty part of your thumb, place the shaft of the mallet on your first knuckle, and then place your thumb over top of it. Grasp the bottom part with your middle finger, and then grasp the other mallet with your other 2 fingers. And you play by pulling up and down on this part of your hand. The way I play is called Burton's grip, and that's when you hold one like it's a drumstick, like you're going to eat it or play with it. And then you're going to place another mallet behind that mallet, between the mallet and your hand. That's called Burton's grip, and that's what I used in this experience. So my procedure, I started by submitting an application to the IRB, and I got accepted to do a self-study. I then had to tackle the challenge of bringing a marimba up to Peters. Like I said, marimbas are very large and honestly kind of difficult to move. So I got one of my friends and we rolled it up the side of the road, because marimbas do live in Covington Center at the base of the hill of campus. I then did a pilot study and a data collection study, and then I did my data analysis with help from Dr. Salee from the Exercise Science and Health Education Department. So these are my EMG data. I placed the EMGs on what are called the brachioradialis muscles in my forearms. If you play a wind instrument, these are called your chops, because that's the group of muscles that you use a lot to play your instrument. A percussionist's chops are right here, and so that's why I chose to put my muscles there, or my EMGs there. So I did 4 different types of techniques. You're going to see an example of each of those, but this is a double vertical technique. So a double vertical technique is when all 4 mallets hit the instrument at the same time. In the data, you can see complete activation and complete relaxation between each stroke. This is really important, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later from now. Single independent, we actually didn't get the video from because of the spread of COVID-19 and us having to leave early, but single independent is when you play with one mallet multiple times in a row and then shift to the next mallet. Green is my left hand and red is my right hand, and you can see that while my left hand is playing, my right hand is almost completely relaxed, and the opposite is also true. Single alternating. So single alternating is when you hit with one mallet and then hit with the next mallet on that hand, and then you go up or down or any combination thereof. And you can see 2 complete spikes and relaxations in each of my hands as we're playing. Triple laterals, this data looks a lot messier, and it's because I have to move so quickly to make this technique happen. Here's a video. So yeah. So you might be asking, well, why is this important? Unhealthy EMG data is demonstrated on the left. This shows a lot of individual muscle spasms between the beginning and the end, and that's actually really unhealthy for musculoskeletal health. In this case, in their back, but the same is true for all parts of our body. The one on the right is my raw data from the double vertical trial, and you can see that there is a complete activation and a complete relaxation, which will lead to increased or decreased risk of having repetitive motion injuries. Also, the amount of electrical activity between my forearms was 0.018 millivolts off, which is minuscule when compared to people who don't have musical training in specifically percussion. And this shows that my arms are more similar in strength and endurance than other people's two arms. Most people's right arm is stronger or more able to last a longer time than other people's left arms because of hand dominance. Because of my musical training, I have a dominant hand, and you can tell when I write my name, but you can't tell in terms of strength and endurance because I work both of my hands about equally as much. So force plate data actually measures in 3 different ways, and those are in X dimensions, and that's from the inside of your foot to the outside of your foot. Y dimensions, which is the one I focus on in this presentation and in all of my data, and that is how much pressure is going straight up, and Z dimensions, which is how much from your heel to your toe. We actually found an unhealthy habit in my data. I put a lot of my weight on my left foot when I am standing still and playing. And this is actually really bad because it can wear down the cartilage in my left knee and my left hip. And you can see that demonstrated in the graph on the left here. The graph on the right is much more of a healthy pattern, and I was actively playing a piece when we were collecting that data. That data, you can see that I had to move a lot across the instrument throughout the piece just to make sure that I was hitting all of the right notes. The instrument's large. I have to consistently move left to right in order to hit all of the correct phrases and notes. This is my cat. Her name is Raja. So I found very little data on percussion and music therapy. I used all different kinds of search terms, and I did not find much, but I did find one that analyzed all of the literature on percussion and music therapy, and 53% of articles published in common music therapy journals don't specify the type of percussion used, and in 76% of the articles that do specify it, they only tackle non-pitched percussion in membramophones or drums or bells or something like that. And I think that the data is sorely lacking in pitched or melodic percussion instruments. I think that using marimba in a clinical setting is vitally important because it can increase upper body strength, endurance, and coordination over time, and it can increase someone's ability to shift weight from left to right. So a lot of our clients in music therapy have physical or mental limitations that limit how much they can do in their everyday lives, and I believe that using marimba to address these issues can really help those people learn to be more independent in grabbing the peas while they're cooking their dinner, because they can shift their weight and actually pick up the peas. That was a weird example, but it's the first one that came to mind. I also think it's important to take into consideration my data when you are thinking about injury prevention and teaching percussionists. They are 68% of percussionists have experienced repetitive motion injuries in their lifetime, and this is it's a huge number of people. And so if percussionists can learn to completely relax and engage their muscles when they are playing in between each stroke, I believe that this injury, or this rate of injury, will go down drastically over time. I learned the importance of muscle activation and relaxation, and the importance of equality and strength in your right and left hand, and complete relaxation between strokes. And I also learned that I have a bad habit. I place all of my weight on my left side, and this can be difficult later in life when cartilage does start wearing down over time. Also, I learned that you can't always see the complications that can come from this. So when I was playing, Dr. Salih was in the corner and he was watching me play, and he said he didn't notice that I put all of my weight on my left side, and that can be vitally important in my future, and it's not something anyone was ever going to tell me because you weren't going to see it. So this is just something to keep in mind in my future, to keep my weight balanced between my right and left leg. I want to say thank you to Dr. DeMeo for helping me accomplish this project. I've been wanting to do something like this since my freshman year. Dr. Salih for helping me in understanding and analyzing the data and for use of the biometrics lab, and Dr. Sandrell for helping me learn about my instrument, expanding my understanding of the physicality of the instrument, and honestly just everyone in the percussion studio for really expanding my understanding of the instrument itself. And apparently Raja for helping me present. And these are the sources that I referenced in this particular presentation, though I used a lot more when preparing for this. I hope you guys have a great day and you're staying safe and well, and yeah, have a nice day.